Today, we continue to study Greek grammar. As you see on the screen, we are studying the demonstrative adjective. Demonstrative adjective, we call that is the APD right here, parsing code, and they are used to point out specific people or things. So, all APD showing up right here. And then we are practicing the third verse, John chapter 6, verse 29. And then tuto, st to ergon tu teu. So tuto is the this, right? So this. St is the nominative. This is the subject of this verb. So this is to ergon, the work. And then genitive of the God. And then about the work of the God, and then we start to study from the Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 so far. Before we go ahead and to look at the Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, that is a continuation from the last class. I would like to introduce my YouTube channel. When you go to my YouTube channel, if you don't know the address, you type the Stauros Bible Academy here, and then June Kim, they should be showing the YouTube channel in this way. And then the class that we are doing, that is the Greek grammar, the Hebrew grammar, Greek grammar at this time. And then through the day, through the weekdays, we are not only study the Greek grammar, but also Hebrew grammar, Genesis study, Matthew study is going on through the weekdays. So for this class, we are studying the Greek grammar. So you go to the playlist here, and then you look through the Greek grammar English. It's right here, right? Greek grammar English. And then so Greek grammar English is right here, right? It's right here. So it has a 71 videos so far. And then you click the view full playlist. This is not everything that we recorded. So it's just like a sample. And then when you're coming down to the end, and then you see the one we did the last class, which is the last week, right? So Greek grammar, demonstrative adjective, and this is the work of the God. So that was the second class that we study about the John 6:29 first class. This is the second class. And then today is the third class that we study about the work of the God. What is the God's work that we are studying? And then today is the third class about that. Talking about the beginning of the work of God, it's talking about Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, right? That is the beginning of the work of God. And then the translation that we did already. So people who does not listen to our previous YouTube, then you might go as well, watching from the beginning. And then Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, and this is talking about the beginning, right? Beginning of the work of the God, right? And then that beginning starting where? Bereshit, which is the in my sealed head, right? And we understand already the meaning of the Bereshit. And then masculine third person is the singular is the subject of the create. So he has created. What does he create? He created the Elohim, which is the noun masculine plural. And then the Elohim is the ministry to hope Almighty, God's ministry, God's work. This is the work of God. Then work of God is the rest of the part that called the Elohim, right? And then beginning the heaven, complete the heaven, or heaven, and then beginning the earth, complete the earth. And then they call the seventh day process we learn, right? Then what is the purpose of the work of the God? The purpose of the creation is the dual heaven, right? Heaven is two, dual heaven. So about the heaven, I already explained last class. So the meaning of the heaven also, right? And then two authority, two name, two master. And then also polishing, sharpening the water. So through the 7-day process, there is a Elohim process. So in my sealed head, it start from the first heaven, complete the new heaven, start from the first earth, complete the new earth, right? There is a Elohim. So then Elohim is the one ministry to Almighty. That is the gods, right? Noun, masculine, plural, which is a plural. Then purpose of God's creation is the one Elohim to create the gods. Then we translate plural as the living, right? Which is who's able to do live as the God. That is the God's living. So who's able to live as God is the one who's able to do the work of the God. Then Elohim is the sons of the God, isn't it then? Who's able to do the work of the God. Then what is the son's name? Son's name is the Jesus. What is the meaning of Jesus? Existence of salvation. Who's able to save others by providing the wisdom of God and power of God, right? So existence of salvation is the one who comes from the heaven and bring the Father, bring the Word, bring the Holy Spirit, right? That is talking about the 1 John chapter 5, verse 6 and 7, right? Trinity in the heaven, right? So then Jesus Christos, Jesus, he is the God's image. He is the likeness of the God who is able to do the work of the God. That takes the 7 days process, right? So Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 through Genesis chapter 2 verse 3 is talking about the 7 days. And 7 days is not the day that we are calculating in our daily life. We calculate the 1 day as the 24 hours. And 7 days does not mean then 24 hours times 7, right? Then we are going to look at what is the meaning of day anyhow during our class. So that is the purpose of the gods, to make the Elohim, which is the God's ministry, sons living, God's living, right? That takes the 7 days. 7 days. So Elohim is the process to become the first, start from the first heaven to become the new heaven, start from the first earth to become the new earth. That is Elohim. And then last class, we were also talking about the heaven is the water factory. Water is the truth. Water is the word. Water is the thought. Since heaven is the dual and earth is the singular, then when we study about the masculine and feminine, masculine role is the noun that is the giver, right? And then minister, right? And then feminine role is the noun of feminine, that is the role of the receiver, right? And then once you receive, producer. So the earth is the feminine noun, that accept the will of the heaven. Again, heaven is the doer. One day through fifth day, right? In our 7 days process. About the 7 days, I already mentioned a couple of times through our class, so you should be familiar by now. So will of the heaven needs to be received by the earth, who is the singular. And then the earth is the foundation of the heaven. Then heaven and earth is in my sealed head. It is my internal status, right? So heaven is the two name that we learn, and then two authority, and two master, which means two lord, because it's the doer. Then in the beginning, in my sealed head, I am nothing but to receive your heaven, which is a two name, two authority, two masters, right? That's why earth is state of the verse 2. When we go to the verse 2, and then it starts with the and, right? It is a continuation from the verse 1. And then when we look at the chapter 1, verse 2 here, the state of the status and state of the earth is perfect status here. If you look at that, English translate was. This is the hoita, that is a pronunciation. You see here, parsing code is a BQA. And then A is the perfect status, right? So I put the parsing code here in our screenshot here. Whenever you see the VQ, it is the car verb, which is a simple active verb. A is the perfect. And then I is the imperfect. So the earth status is the perfect status. Again, Hebrew does not exist the tense. This perfect and imperfect is not the tense, it is the status. So the earth status is already perfected. What is perfected? The earth. Without form, void, darkness is already perfected. And then upon the faith of the tehom. So upon is the connection. You see, up on. So when you open up the faith of the earth, it only has the tehom. Tehom is the bottomless, obvious. When we go to the dictionary 8415, see here, abyss. Abyss. That is the deep place. Abyss is the equal the bottomless pit. When we go to the book of Revelation, chapter 20, then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, having a key to the bottomless pit. Look at the bottomless. You see, abyssos is abyss, abyssos. Let's go look at the number 12 in the Hebrew. Depths, abyss, which is there is no bottom. What does that mean? There is no answer. That's why it's a bottomless pit. That's why it is the fully darkness. So without form, void, and darkness. That is the status of the earth. This is because of heaven is the doer. Because of heaven is the doer. Then when can we understand the two heavens? When can we understand the two names, two authority? to master. We have to hear the seventh trumpet, isn't it? Then when we hear the seventh trumpet, we have fully recognition about the two heavens, right? When we go to the book of Revelation, chapter 12, and then 6th day is the woman who is Mary, and then the baby Jesus is born in my heaven, right? At the same time, there is a sign appear in my heaven. That's why it is the two heavens inside me when baby Jesus is about to born. And then this sign is the fiery red dragon, and who trying to, the woman, not to born the baby Jesus, right? So his tail drew a third of the star of the heaven and threw them to the earth. The dragon stood before the woman, right? Because baby Jesus is born inside me, in my heaven, right? And then ready to give birth, to devour her child as soon as it was born. That's why when we go to the Matthew chapter 13, when the seed is the word of God, and Jesus is speaking the parable of the seed and the kingdom of the heavens, right? So it turns out 4 different ways. One fell on the wayside because it's out of the way. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. But it fell not in the way, it is the side of the way. And then another one is the stony place, another one is the thorn. So those are 3 scenarios, and then they are not able to bring forth the son. And then the number 4 case, it fell on the good ground. So it bring forth, right? Baby Jesus is born inside me. So those things happening in my beginning of the 6th day. So she bore a child who was ruled all nation with a rod of iron. Her child was caught up to God and his throne. So throne of God, throne of the Lamb is in my heaven, right? That means what? 2 heavens becomes 1 heaven. So when we're coming down, that's why those 2 signs are showing up in my heaven in the beginning of 6th day. The war broke out in heaven. In my heaven, that is the heavenly war is starting. And then Michael, what is the meaning of Michael? Mi is the who, Ka is the like, El means who's like God. Because in my dual heaven, 2 name, 2 authority, 2 master existing. So Michael and his angel, his messenger, give us the knowledge who is the true God, who is the true Lord, who is the true master and true authority. So Michael, his angel, fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angel fought. So they did not prevail. Who? The dragon and his messenger, they did not prevail. So baby Jesus is born, and 2 heaven becomes 1 heaven. I have a full distinction, full recognition, who is acting like the heaven. So they did not prevail, nor was a place found for them in heaven any longer. So the great dragon was cast out from my heaven, which means 2 heaven becomes 1 heaven. That the serpent of old called the devil and Satan, who deceived the whole world, he was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So this is the 6th day starting point, right? Then when 6th day starting, 2 heavens becomes 1 heaven. But until that time, until 1 day through the 5th day here, 2 heavens still existing in my sealed head with 1 earth. So the heaven status is obviously without form, void, and darkness status. So go back to the Genesis chapter 3. Then he said imperfect status. You see here VQI. Whenever you see the VQI, and that's the imperfect. Okay. Whenever you see the VQA, it's the perfect. So he began to say that Elohim, ministry to hope Almighty, right? And then the light exists what? VQI, right? Imperfect status. The imperfect status light exists. That is the one-day process, right? When we're looking at here, the evening and morning were the first day. English translate fourth day, but it is not the fourth day. This is the ehad. One day. Ehad is one. There is the first in the Hebrew word, which is the Lishon. When we go to the dictionary, the strong number 7223. This is a Rishon. Rishon is the first. When we study our textbook, we already study the Greek numbers, and then Greek also divide by the cardinal number and ordinal number, right? Then first is the protos, prote, proto. There is a masculine, feminine, neuter in the sequence, right? And then number one, cardinal number, ace, mia, n, which is the masculine one, feminine one, and then neuter one, right? So ehad is, if you look at here, ANCMS, adjective number, cardinal number, masculine singular. So it's not the first day. This is the one day. And then from the second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, sixth day, seventh day is the ordinal number. That's why I was talking about one day, and then second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, sixth day, and seventh day. Those are all decimal concept, right? This is a 2 7, 3 7, 4 7, 5 7s, 6 7s, and 7 7s, right? So 7 7 is the one day. One day is the entire 7 days. So one day is the seventh day. Seventh day is the one day. That's why one day process is the what? Light. Entire my 7 days processing is the light process. Who are the light? Christos Jesus is a light, right? When we go to the John chapter 1, John chapter 1 also talking about in my beginning. And then when we coming down, the light shine in the darkness, right? And the darkness did not comprehend it. The darkness status is the first earth, right? And then talking about the John, Johannes, and then verse 9, that was the true light. Look at that was the true light. You see here, BIIA, imperfect. The true light is what? Imperfect status. Where? In my beginning, Bereshit. That's why Genesis chapter 1 verse 3 is what? True light is what? Imperfect, exists imperfect. 1961 is the be verb, but it's the imperfect. Same as over there, N, right? That's why one day is the seventh day is the one day. Then light is keep on moving one day through the seventh day, isn't it? So when we're looking at the verse 4 here, so light begins which is a light is the imperfect status. So verse 4 is talking about the light process. You see here at how old, right? Screenshot. English does not translate it, but now we understand, same as from the Genesis chapter 1 verse 1, right? Beginning the light, complete the light, right? Then beginning the light is obviously imperfect light, right? And then the top, this is the Aleph. And then top light is the perfect light then, right? And then here says divided, right? He divided. And here says divided. Light from the darkness. It's saying that way. This is an incorrect translation. Look at that. You see this word? This is a pen. English does not translate it. And then same 996. The first one is the conjunction. And then pen, they did not translate it. And this is not even from. You see, this one is the same as this one, which is and. Then how can he divide it? And the divide is what? The work of God, right? The work of the God. Elohim is the work of the God, right? God's work, God's ministry, right? So then work of God is the 7th-day processing, right? 7-day processing is the beginning the light, complete the light process, right? Then working of the God is working inside me, beginning the light, complete the light. That is the 7th day. In order to divide, what needs to be happen? The pen is to understand. Understand the light, understand the darkness. Let's go to the dictionary, 996. You see, pen is what? Distinction. You have to have a distinction, cognition, realization. And this is the noun from the 995. So 996, 995 is the same. This is a pen. 995 is same pen. To separate mentally or distinguish. Understand. You have to understand the light. You have to understand the darkness. That is the work of the God who's working inside me. Once we have a full understanding the light, understanding the darkness, then beginning light becomes the complete light. We are fully understanding the light. Then what is the light? We went to the 2 Corinthians chapter 4. And the light is the verse 3 is talking about the gospel. But gospel is veiled. Why? Because I am not able to understand the light. I am not able to understand the darkness. The light and the darkness, I have to understand for both, having a distinction. Until that time, the gospel is veiled. What is the gospel? Born of Jesus, crucifixion of Jesus, resurrection of Jesus, presence of Jesus. That has to be happen in my heart, pereshit, in my sealed head. But that is veiled until the 5th day, right? Whose minds the God of this age? Serpent and Satan, or the dragon that we just saw from the book of Revelation. Until the war broke out in my heaven. They make it veiled, then make me blindness. So we are nothing but to perish. And we are not able to believe. That's why, lest the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine on them. We do not preach ourselves, we preach Christos Jesus, the Lord, ourselves your bondservant for Jesus' sake. We are the one who become the God's living. We are the one who's able to do the work of the God. We are preaching that gospel. Then whoever receive our gospel of peace, that has happened in my sealed head, it will be fully manifested in their heart, in their head then, right? And then it is the God who command the light. We're looking at the Genesis chapter 1 verse 3, to shine out of darkness. Because the earth is darkness and then heaven is pure, so the light has to shine to the earth. Who has a shine where? In my heart. Bereshit, in my heart. So I receive the light of the knowledge of the glory of God. That knowledge is in the faith of Jesus Christ. So we receive this light in my heart. That means we have this treasure in my earthen vessel. I, as the earth, that is the foundation to receive the will of God. We are receiving this treasure, the knowledge, light of the knowledge, which is a gospel. About this treasure, we went to the Colossians chapter 2. That treasure is the treasure of wisdom, treasure of the knowledge. So that's starting from the 1 day through the 7th day processing. Genesis chapter 1 verse 4 here. Aleph, the light, Tav, the light. 7 days processing. That is what? Understand the light, understand the darkness. That is a 1 day process. 1 day process, right? Then what is the day? Because 1 day is the 7th day, 7th day is the 1 day. Then what is the day? When we go to the day, I would like to close some of them. I put it in here. The 3117 Yom is the day. It uses the day period today. Then 7th day process is the period, right? Because 1 day, 2nd day, 3rd day, those are the period, right? That happening inside me. So day period is 4 to the 7th day. When we're looking at the Hebrew alphabet only, the first one is the Yod, which is the work, God's handwork. That is a Yod. And then last one, when we study about the last class, this is the Mem, which is the water, Mayim, right? Then water is the thought, water is the knowledge, water is the words. So working the water. Through who? Through the mediator. The Bob is the mediator, right? So working the water through our mediator, who is the Christos Jesus. That is the 7 days process. So in my sealed head, Genesis chapter 1 verse 1, 1 day my situation is, 1 day is the 7th day, 7th day is the 1 day. But the status of the 1 day status is, day and the light is the imperfect status. And then night and the darkness is the perfect status. Where it say that? We can go to the next verse, verse 5 here. When we look at that, verse 5, you see here, by cross. The first one is the conjunction, which is and, right? And then the yod, this is the imperfect, okay? Imperfect prefix. That's why VQI is imperfect. And then you see here, VQA. This is what? Perfect, right? Keep in mind again, okay, VQA, imperfect, right? BQA is perfect, BQI is what? Imperfect, okay? So, BQI imperfect, BQA perfect. Look at the English, how they translate it. Verse 5. You see, cold, cold. This is an imperfect, right? This is a perfect, right? You saw that. BQA, BQI, right? That's why kara is the perfect, yod, ikra is the imperfect. So not only New King James, but also King James Bible. So then what is imperfect? They is imperfect. So he called imperfect, they, you see, this is a preposition definite article. La is the for the light. So he begin to invite. Kara is the invite and call. So he begin to invite they for the light. Why he begin to invite the they? For the light. Light is the knowledge of the gospel. Light is the knowledge of the God, right? So knowledge of the God is the imperfect. Light is the imperfect status. Light is the imperfect. So they needs to invited to get the knowledge of the gospel, knowledge of the God. So they is imperfect, that's why. And then look at here. Where is the end? The darkness, but they miss this preposition, right? Le is the for the darkness. He has called, he has invited what? Night. So day is imperfect. Night is perfect. That's why imperfect light, imperfect day, it takes 7 days then, right? Based upon this, my chart, so day means the yom is above. I put it in there. So yod, right? Yod, which is a working hand, through the vav, Christos Jesus, working what? Water, which is a word. That day process is what? Day and light is the imperfect. Night and darkness is the perfect. Then night and darkness perfect status needs to be decreased, right? And then day and light is increased, right? As the day moving over. 1 day, 2nd day, 3rd day, 4th day, 5th day, 6th day is the day Christos Jesus is born and then crucified. Crucifixion is the end of darkness. What is the darkness? No knowledge, right? No knowledge of God. That is the ending point. Then 7th day is what? Light only, day only, right? That's why when we go to the 1st Thessalonians, chapter 5, and then you are all sons of light, sons of the day. You are become the light and the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness, right? So they are the one who fully understand the, you yourself know perfectly that day of the Lord shall come as a thief in the night, right? And then by concerning the times and the season, about the 1 day through the 7 days process. Brethren, you have no need that I should write to you. They know perfectly about this processing. They understand the Bible by 7 days process in this way. About this one, when we go to the 2 Peter, it says 1 day, 1,000 years, 1 day. Which means 1 day, 7 days, 7 days, 1 day. But the Apostle Paul say 1 day, 1,000 years, 1 day. Let's quick go there. 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 8. Start from 7. The heavens and the earth which are now preserved by the same word, because the light getting increased, the darkness getting decreased, right? By knowing the word of the God, right? Reserved for fire until the day of judgment. Who are the fire? In the Old Testament Bible says, Jehovah is the consuming fire. And fire is the ish, which is the ish is the husband and man in the Hebrew word. Man is the fire. Jehovah is the fire. And Jehovah and the man is the one who provide the truth of the God. That's why when we go to the James chapter 3:6 says, the tongue is the fire. The word of the God is the fire. So that is reserved until the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly man, which is a fourth status. Beloved, do not forget this one thing, that with the Lord, 1 day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as 1 day. Then what is the 1,000? We already learned a couple of times when we study 144,000, when we study about the New Jerusalem, right? 144 cubit, on those things. 1,000 is the Hebrew word is aleph. If you go to our Hebrew alphabet, meaning our Hebrew study, the first person, which is the myself, it's called the aleph. And this is the aleph word group. Then aleph is the 1,000. And then alap is the 1,000. So 1,000 is the learning process. 1,000 is to become the tamed by the master process. Then 1,000 is the my personal human nature is the ox. This is the ox head. By learning the ox head through learning the word of the God, and I have the man's head when we coming down the Rosh, right? This Rosh is the man's head. Man's head. In Hebrew alphabet meaning we are talking. So the 1,000 years, 1,000 means my personal human nature. Then what is the year means? Year means the transformation. The year is the Hebrew strong number 8141. You see, the shane is the year. This is the from, this is a noun feminine. This from the verb 8138, shana, which means fold, duplicate, double, transmute, transform, alter, which called the transformation and alteration. So my personal human nature transform, alter to become the God's nature. That is what day? That's the 1 day. 1 day is the transform to become the God's nature. My personal human nature transform to become a God's nature. That's the 1 day process. That is the daylight become increased, light, night, darkness getting decreased. We crucify together with Christos Jesus to become the sons of day, sons of light process. That is a 1,000-year process. So go back to the our Genesis chapter 1 verse 5. So in my beginning, the night is the perfect status. The day is the imperfect status. Then Morning, begin. Evening, begin, right? Evening begin, morning begin. Both of them is what? Imperfect status. You see here, VQI, right? VQI. Evening, I said starting point, right? Evening exists imperfect. Morning exists imperfect. This is all be verb. Then what is the morning? What is the evening means? Let's go to look at the evening. 6153 in my dictionary. 6153. If you look at the meaning of the evening, if you look at it here, Erev is the evening. Erev is the evening. This comes from the Arab, that's the verb. To braid, intermix, to traffic, as if by barter. Give to be security as kind of exchange. Give pledge. Exchange mortgage, have fellowship with. To exchange an item or service for another as mixing one thing with another. The Hebrew biblical meaning evening does not mean in our daily life when sundown we call the evening. When sun comes out, we call the morning. That is our terminology, our understanding. Bible does not tell in that way. Evening is the time exchange. Exchange means what? Exchange the knowledge of the God. Between who and who? Between the teacher and the student, learner. Then Jesus was with these 12 disciples. Then they are going through the evening process then, right? And they are going through the morning process too. So evening is the, you give a pledge. You give to be security. Once you accept the knowledge of the Christos Jesus, you say amen, you say yes, then you give to be security. It's kind of exchange, right? And then you have fellowship with Christos Jesus. And another verb is aref, to be agreeable, through the idea of close association. To be pleasant, be sweet. When you exchange the knowledge between the teacher and the student, you got the new knowledge, so you should be agreeable, pleasant, and sweet, right? And then Arab is the become evening, grow dark. And then Arab is the Aramaic word to mix, commingle, join together. You join together with the teacher, which is a seventh-day man. And then Arab is Arab, Arabian. That's why Apostle Paul, after he met the Christos Jesus in the road of the Damascus, he went to Arabia 3 years. Is he going to geographical location Arab? No. He going through the exchange the knowledge. And then Arab is the uf, interwoven, mixture. The mixing of the cord when weaving. That is the making the garment of Christos. Put on the garment of Christos by making the uf, mixture of the cord, right? And then Arab is the willow. And then Arab is the sweet and pleasant. We just look at that. And then Arob is the swarm as a mixture of insect. And then Oreb is the raven. That's why raven is the keep on flying until the water is fully dry up in the days of Noah, right? Which is exchanging the knowledge until water dry up and then dry land showing up, right? That is the dove is flying outside. That's why the spirit of dove is coming out of the heaven when Christos Jesus baptized, right? When we go to the Matthew chapter 3. And then Oreb is the raven. And then Araba is the desert. Desert, Araba. Same thing we see up there, right? Arabian, right? And then Aruba is the pledge. We saw that. And then Arabon is the pledge security. And then Me'arab is the merchandise. used in the bartering, in the sense of trading, exchange. So evening is the time to exchange the knowledge. Evening is the time have a fellowship with. Evening is the time once you receive the knowledge of God, you give pledge, you give to be security. And how many times that is going through? 6 days, right? 1 day, 2nd day, 3rd day, 4th day, 5th day, 6th day. When we coming down the 6th day in the Genesis chapter 1, verse 31, evening, morning, 6th day. Those are all what? Imperfect. You see, VQI is all imperfect. But 7th day, there is no evening and morning exist, because that is the day you become the sons of light, sons of day. In order to become the full light and full day, in the 7th day, you go through the crucifixion. Those are all go through the daylight, night, darkness process. It needs to go through it, right? That evening is the exchange of knowledge. Then what is the morning means? Morning is the bouquet. Let's go to my dictionary, 1242. The pronunciation, this word is a bouquet. Bouquet in the dictionary say dawn as the break of day and morning. And then 1239 is the verb bakar, to plow, break forth, inspect, seek, inquire. As ox yoked to a plow, the breaking open the ground with a plow pulled by oxen. That's the bakar. With the knowledge that you receive, evening process, exchanging the knowledge that you learn from the teacher, now you are inspecting, you are seeking and inquire, you start to breaking the ground. That is in you. You need to plow your heart. Your hardened heart needs to be soft. So the seed is fell onto your heart in your earth. And Boker is a cattle tender herdsman. You as a herdman, cattle tender, you are inspect, seek, inquire the word of God. And Bekar is the Aramaic word, inquire, make search. So once you learn, once you exchange the knowledge, you need to digest. Digest, plow, break forth, inspect, seek, inquire process equal the morning process. Bakar is a cattle and herd. The strong beast used to break the soil with a plow. You are the strong beast. You are the cattle tender herdsman. It is talking about you yourself. And Bakara is looking after, seeking. Bikoret is examination and punishment. If you are not able to inspect, seek, and inquire, get the solid answer, digest the word of the God, or you will get punishment, which is the judgment is happening. That rolling through how many times? 1 day, 2nd day, 3rd day, 4th day, 5th day, 6th day. Learning, seek, and inquire. Exchange of knowledge and inquire and seek and examination. That's the evening, morning process. That's what Hebrew Bible is talking exactly in that way. That is all 1 day process. Then about the 1 day, we're talking about 1 day process, the 1,000 years. 1,000 years is the 7th day process, right? Then darkness is getting bright. The knowledge of God is getting bright through the evening and morning process. And then the 1 day process is the 4th theorem, right? Orsteram Stauros is the imperfect light. And then second day is talking about the water. Water. And here it says, let there be firmament in the midst of the water. Let it divide the water from the water. What is the firmament? Honestly speaking, Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 through Genesis chapter 2 verse 3 to my student, and they are studying this one only for 1 hour a week. They study for 3 years. So you are listening 3 years, 1 hour a week, and you are condensed at this moment. Because all incorrect translation, I cannot detail you because we have a limit of the time. So I'm going to skip. I'm going to summarize you those main function, main things, so we understand at least the work of the God is happening. Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 through Genesis chapter 2 verse 3. That is 7 days process. That happening where? Inside me, in my sealed head. Heaven is inside me, earth is inside me. You already have the idea as long as you follow me through the YouTube. Then what is the firmament? Lakia. That's the pronunciation of the word. Lakia is called the firmament. I translate as the expanse. When we go to the dictionary, 7549, it says expanse. That's what I'm translate expanse. And then lakia is the noun masculine, and it comes from the 7554. Raka is the pound the earth, which is expanded by hammering. If you have a metal, if you have a thin sheets of metal, you are hammering expand to make the big lay of the metal, the sheets of metal, right? So that is the pound the earth to make it expand. That is the lakia means. Then what is the lakias doing when we're looking at the Bible? When we go to the Psalm chapter 19, the heaven declares the glory of God, and the firmament. Firmament is the lakia. Lakia is right here. Lakia show his handiwork. Lakia is the one who show the God's work. Then second day, as I explained about the 7 days process, second day is the day of Noah that covers the Genesis chapter 6 through the Genesis chapter 11, right? That's why water showing up second day. Because water is talking about here, days of Noah. Then the lakia is the Noah, and Noah is in the middle of the water. Then in the lakia, it is like this. So let's say here, so here is a lakia, which represent a Noah. What is a Noah firmament? Show the God's handwork, showing the work of the God. He is the second day man. And he's in the middle of the water. Again, this is the typo mistake. Water is always pure, okay? We already say that. And then the Noah, the lakia, understand the water, right? English does not translate. We already say that. Pen, understand water, right? This is a for water. Le, not from, right? Then there's a two different waters here. That's why when we go to verse 6 here, water for water, and then go down to the verse 7, is showing the two different water, right? The waters under the firmament, the waters above the firmament, right? So there is a water above. There's a water below. And Noah is the one who's showing the water above, water below. Then again, water is the thought. Water is the knowledge, right? Water is the word, right? That's why when we go to the Matthew chapter 24, talking about the days of Noah, go down to 37. As the days of Noah were, so also will the coming of the Son of the Man be, right? So the days of Noah is compared with the present. Parousia is not coming. Parousia is the present. Coming is the erkomai verb. This is not the verb. This is the noun. So presence of the Son of the human being. As in the days of before the flood, they were eating, drinking, marrying, given in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark. But English translate the were, when we're looking at the Greek text, you see here, VIIA, imperfect. Those people who drink the water below, they are imperfect status. What are they doing? BPP, BPP, BPP. They are drinking, they are marrying, they are given in marriage, right? Until the day Noah entered the ark. They are drinking, eating, marrying, and given in marriage. When we become a seventh day, we do not marry, right? Jesus said that. We are like us, same as the messenger in the heaven. And we are the sons of resurrection. Jesus said that. Because we already become one in Christos Jesus. Christos Jesus is our permanent husband. We don't marry anymore. We do not given in marriage anymore. We do not eating and drinking the earthly water, earthly food, perishable food. We are eating and drinking Christos Jesus, the knowledge of God. Drinking his blood, eating his flesh. Until that time, those people who are water below, they are nothing but to destroy, that's why. So they did not know until the flood came and took them all away. So also will the coming of the Son of Man be, right? That's why two men will be in the field. Field is the word based upon the Matthew chapter 13. So one man will be taken, the other left, right? Whoever drinking the water above, whoever drinking the water below, because Noah is the firmament who showing the God's handiwork. He is the preacher. He is the righteous man. When we study the Peter, he is the eighth Noah. He is the righteous, right? That we already studied about that. Next class, we continue to study about the third day.